So just imagine when somebody is standing, there is a gravitational force which is pulling the blood down, and the blood has to go in a reverse direction towards the heart.
Okay.
Those group of populations who are involved in a long standing job are definitely at more risk for developing varicose veins. If you are getting swelling or pain after long standing and it is getting relieved after you are lying down, then that is an alarming sign and you should get investigated and rule out whether you have a varicose vein problem or not.
Welcome to season 2 of Health Charcha, the podcast where we simplify healthcare, share real life experiences, and deep dive into breakthrough treatments. I'm your host Karthik, and today we are shining the spotlight on a condition that potentially impacts up to 25% of adults, yet many remain unaware that early intervention can make the difference: varicose veins. In India, a significant number of adults experience varicose veins without realizing that the condition warrants medical attention. This episode is dedicated to understanding what varicose veins are, how they are developed, the early warning signs, and the various stages at which treatment becomes essential. We will also explore the influence of lifestyle and genetics on vein health and debunk some of the most common myths surrounding varicose veins. Joining us today is Dr. Vivek Ukirde from Navi Mumbai, a vascular specialist with extensive experience in diagnosing and managing vein disorders. He is interventional radiologist practicing at Vascular Access Center. Dr. Vivek will guide us through the intricacies of varicose veins, helping us separate fact from fiction and offer insights into when and how to seek professional help. Doctor, thank you so much for sparing your wonderful time
Thank you,
and
Karthik.
being here. Dr. Vivek, coming to my first question. Studies actually show that nearly 25% of the Indian population experience some form of chronic venous disorder, with varicose veins being one of the most common conditions. However, a vast majority remain untreated because they don't really go to the doctor and get it checked until the complications arise. So, doctor, could you just explain what varicose veins are and how they develop?
Right. It's a very good question to start with. It's good to understand what we are talking about and what are the varicose veins. See, if you can look at this diagram, these are the prominent veins of our leg. So this is right and this is left. Veins are the one which take your blood from your leg towards your heart. So just imagine when somebody is standing, there is a gravitational force which is pulling the blood down, and the blood has to go in a reverse direction towards the heart.
Okay.
Now for this, there are two sets of prominent veins in the leg. The one which I have drawn with the arrows are the deep veins. What I mean by that is, these veins are deep to your leg muscles. So when you are standing, running, walking, these muscles contract and they really pump the blood and help the blood to go in the reverse direction towards heart.
Okay.
The other sets of vein which I have drawn with these dots, these are called as superficial veins. So what I mean by that, these veins are just below your skin, in your fat in the leg. So they don't have any support of muscles. So when we are standing for a longer time, definitely there is a more and more pressure which is coming on the vein, which causes dilatation of the veins, and these are the varicose veins. So basically these superficial veins are the one which are the culprit, and these become dilated, which we call a varicose veins.
But doctor, I have heard that varicose veins is actually the backflow of blood that happens. But can you just shed some light on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we are standing and there is a gravitational force which is actually pulling the blood, you can imagine we are standing and all the blood comes down. It doesn't happen because we are provided with a valve at this point. These valves prevent the reversal of the flow. But if you are standing for a long time and there is a dilatation of the vein, there is a gap between the valve and the vein, and the blood starts seeping down, and then it further worsens the condition, and then the vein starts dilating more and more. So this is what is varicose veins.
Okay. Doctor, we live in a world where, slangs are being used to differentiate the era of in which people were born. They were baby boomers, they were millennials, they were Gen Zs. And right now, we are working. everyone is a corporate slave, not
Yes.
a right adjective to be used in front of a human being. But at this point of time, people don't realize how much their body is going through day and night when
That's
they are
true.
working out. What are those early signs and symptoms of varicose veins that people tend to neglect?
Actually, the varicose vein, you can decide if symptomatically, if we see it is divided between from C1 to C6. So C1 is just small veins. These are called spiral veins. 2 in C2, there will be little bigger varicose veins seen, but there are no symptoms. They are just visible there. C3 onwards, the symptom starts, which is basically a swelling in the leg. You start observing a swelling in the neck. But it is an important point that all swelling in the vein doesn't mean that you have varicose veins, because it can be because of the kidney disease, it can be because of heart disease. But if you are getting swelling in the evening hours and after lying down your swelling is going, then that could be because of varicose veins. Then in C4, if you don't, you ignore at C3 level, you go to C4, then your skin becomes dry, there are pigmentation, there are lipodermosclerosis, you still keep ignoring, you start getting ulcers which sometimes heal, and finally you end up at C6 where you have an ulcer which are not healing.
Doctor, coming back to varicose veins, the early signs and symptoms, you beautifully explained, and these insights are going to be useful for all the viewers and the listeners who are hearing and watching this podcast. We tend to neglect normal cramps, normal
Right.
pain, normal cramps, and there is a thin line between a normal cramp, a normal pain, and varicose veins. So, what are those simple things that people usually neglect for ages, and then suddenly they realize that, oh, we are suffering from varicose veins?
That is the perfect point. You have picked it up. Nowadays, the color Doppler facilities are very well aware. And with these medias, people are also getting aware about varicose veins. So, all the muscle cramps, all the leg pains are not because of the varicose veins. It is important to understand. Common things like you drink little less water, there is a vitamin deficiency or a magnesium deficiency, all these things can also cause cramp in the muscle or the leg cramp. That typically, if you are getting swelling after long standing or pain or heaviness after long standing, which is getting relieved after lying down, is a perfect sign for varicose veins, and then you should get investigated for the same to confirm this.
Doctor, you talked about the stages, but what are those medical intervention stages that one needs to, keep in mind? Because we tend to neglect a lot of things. We actually go and consult a doctor or a professional right when, the train has already left. That's when
Right,
humans tend to go to the doctors, and then they are like,
right.
okay, it's the time when we
Good.
really need to go and seek
See,
professional help.
as a doctor, when I'm treating, I want my patient to feel better once I have treated him. So, as I told you about the stages, between C1 and C2, there are only visible small veins and prominent varicose veins, but there are no complaint to the patient.
Okay.
C3 onwards, once the edema starts, is actually a symptom starts, and that is the time when patient should get investigated and treated, because after treatment he will definitely see a visible change in his symptoms.
Doctor, coming down to my next question, research actually shows that lifestyle choices and genetics are key factors in vein health. So, who is at a greater risk when it comes to varicose veins?
Those group of populations who are involved in a long standing job are definitely at more risk for developing varicose veins, like teachers, doctors, the traffic police, the police constable, and for that matter the housewife also, because entire day she is standing and doing cooking and doing household activities, so she is also at more risk of getting varicose veins. In some population after pregnancy, it is very common to see some minor prominent spider veins in a females.
And doctor, coming back to the point that there are researches and then there are those searches that are being done on the internet, that who is at a greater risk of having varicose vein, which gender is more prominent of getting varicose vein? Is there a particular gender which is more prompt?
Not really, but one important point, if you look at the diagram which I have drawn, now there is a uterus which is sitting in the groin. So, during pregnancy, this uterus definitely increases in size and causes compression on the vein in the groin. So during that period, and in fact many a times we see that after delivery, the female patients start getting some prominent veins. These are not perfectly varicose veins, but if there are multiple pregnancies, they tend to get more of these problems.
And there are any surprising risks that are involved with varicose veins, because this is people will obviously not differentiate between a leg pain or a cramp. Are there any couple of risk factors that are involved with varicose veins that we completely ignore, and then after a certain age it reflects on our respective bodies?
The most important thing what I told was the ulcers. So once you start getting ulcers, they don't heal and it really affects your lifestyle. So that is
Okay.
one point. Second, when these veins are dilated, there is a more and more blood which is staying in the leg when you are standing or when you are sitting. So with those blood getting stagnated in the veins, there are chances your vein will get inflamed, which is called as thrombophlebitis. So there are chances that you will get that thrombophlebitis. If that happens, it can also predispose to a deep vein thrombosis, which is a little life-threatening condition. Not everyone gets it, but these are the worst consequences which can happen.
Doctor, there are many myths that are surrounding varicose veins, and I think it's the perfect time to actually bust some myths, because a lot of people go on the internet, they go on search forums, and they try to debunk it. And internet is one of those places where a lot of information is consumed without being thoroughly researched. So I have a couple of myths with me, and I want you to debunk them.
Sure.
The first one is applying oils or herbal cream can actually cure varicose veins.
No way. These are a mechanically dilated veins, and by applying your oils, you may feel little better that time, but these veins will not shrink.
The second myth that I really want you to debunk, doctor, is varicose veins are purely a cosmetic issue.
Those who have developed a spider veins may feel that this is only a cosmetic issue, but it could be a beginning of a series of events which happen in varicose veins.
Okay.
So once they start getting swelling on the leg and other changes which I told you, it is important that you get investigated for this and treated for this.
The third myth that I really want to you to debunk is putting your leg up on the wall can actually give you a bit of a relief, and it can actually cure varicose veins.
As I told, your swelling will get less by lying down. If you put it up, you will feel better only during that time, but it will not cure your veins.
The fourth myth, doctor, Ayurvedic or natural remedies can completely cure varicose veins.
See, I am not a specialist in naturalopathy or Ayurvedic, but in my last so many years of practice, I haven't seen any patient getting completely cured with alternative medicine for varicose veins.
And the last and the final myth, only women get varicose veins.
No, they are not, but they are little more exposed to it because of the pregnancy.
Thank you, Dr. Vivek, for sharing such wonderful insights and putting up light on a condition that affects so many. And, it has clarified the importance of early intervention and proper care.
Thank you, Karthik, for the opportunity. It was wonderful talking to you all.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Health Charcha, issued in public interest by Medtronic. We hope you have gained a clearer understanding of varicose veins, from their development and symptoms to the best time to seek treatment. If you're experiencing any unusual leg pain or visible vein changes, don't wait. Early diagnosis and professional treatment can make all the difference. Until next time, take care of your health, be proactive about your vein health, and remember, the right care is just a conversation away. Consult a vascular specialist today. This is me, Karthik, signing off.